has a unique perspective. David Paul is a generous donor to the president's campaign, and he's also a financial advisor for Fiscal Strategies Group. He joins us now for a happy hour. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us. All right, so well, I saw your article today. You're writing about nationalization and all the fear surrounding the banks. You know, people are saying, for all intents and purposes, the banks are nationalized already.
Well, I think that if you look at the amount of money that we have poured into some of these banks and compare that to the market capitalization of the banks, it's hard not to look at that and suggest that we have become the majority owner and interest in those institutions at this point. I would note that today Citibank was pushing back and was looking to give us as taxpayers 25% ownership in exchange for our $50 billion investment. That would imply somewhere around a $200 billion valuation if my brief forays into the venture capital world are correct.
Is there a problem with the fact that the market cap is 1/20th that right now?
Well, I would think that would be a problem. I'm not sure many private investors on their own would make that deal.
We're going to make money. They keep telling me. Taxpayers going to bring Go ahead.
I think the nationalization, the use of the term nationalization is a particularly provocative one. I recall when in the late 80s I sat across the table from Gavril Popov when he was the mayor of Moscow, and he proudly pointed to 250 or so companies that he was the chairman of the board of, and I think that word evokes that image of government-owned institutions.
The big question for me is, look, here, TARP was sold to us that we needed to do something to reduce the systemic risk of the financial system. Okay, here's the question, though. If we continue to put money, TARP money, into these banks, where's the exit strategy? No one in the administration has said, here's how we're getting our money back out. They just say, hey, Bank of America might need some money, Citi needs money, Goldman, they need money. How do we get out?
Well, Larry Flint said he needed money, so I think there are a lot of things
I need money.
I think that, I think the American people look at this, and I think they have very good reason to ask if people know what they're doing and what that end game is. Because I think we do have a process for banks that fail, and it's called resolution by the FDIC. And I think the question that I was raising was that if we tamp down the rhetoric on the use of the word nationalization, that we can perhaps move to a point where people can make sound policy decisions and put some rules in place that let people who make mistakes fail and let people who have not made mistakes take market share from those who don't, such as Ford apparently is from GM and Chrysler.
But okay, so Mr. Paul, then let's play out two different scenarios. One scenario is, okay, nationalize the bank, call it nationalization, and go from there. The second scenario, I guess, is just stay on course and help out piecemeal as you can, dole here and there. Which one is better for the markets and for Main Street people like me?
Well, I believe that from a market standpoint that investors are not going to get back into financial institutions in a big way until there's some clarity and some, reasonable sense that there's going to be a set of rules and that those rules are going to be followed. If you go down the path from the brokering of the sale of Bear Stearns to J.P. Morgan, the total wiping out of the preferred shareholders in Fannie Mae, the protection of the preferred shareholders in Citibank, the guarantee of assets at Citi and Bank of America, the rules are changing every day in this. And I think that the one thing that investors need is clarity and an understanding of what the rules are going to be.
Yeah, David, stay with us. 1 second, just stay with us. We're going to continue this discussion about nationalizing the banks, but we want to move it a little bit forward. The White House stopping short once again from definitely ruling out nationalizing banks, coming out with a statement again saying, no, all is fine. But is Sweden's experience with nationalizing banks really all that bad? Well, judging from something that David has written, he doesn't think so, and neither does Sweden's former finance minister, Lundgren. He joins us on the phone now from Sweden. Mr. Lundgren, then a lot of people referring, even the president himself, to Sweden's time nationalizing banks in the 90s and how successful that was. Do you think we here in the U.S. need to do that? Just jump in and do it right now.
I think that both the president and other people have got some misunderstandings. We don't nationalize banks and didn't do it for just the sake of it. What we said was that if we need to go with capital into the banks, into a certain bank, which gives us a majority, we shouldn't be afraid to take ownership of the bank, even if the aim later on is to privatize it again, like we are doing now.
Mr. Lundgren, are you always able to get the banks spun back out in one way, one shape or form or another? The assets don't go away. Maybe the shareholders always get washed. The lenders to the bank get hurt. Can you sort of walk through what the actual logistics of how it plays out?
Well, we only nationalized two banks, to be precise, in those days, in the beginning of the 90s, when we handled our crisis. But we were very tough in handing out support to other banks. So the three other major banks that